My wife's surprise stopped me from committing the biggest mistake of my life. I'm 33 and my wife is 29, we have been together for 6 years and married for 2. She has a childhood friend Dave who's dating Tessa who is also my colleague. All of us are in the same department and I was the one who set them up. My wife and her friend Dave call themselves soulmates. Although I've never had any problems with Dave as I trust my wife and my wife isn't the one to cheat, they have been super close for the past 3 weeks. It's up to the point they were whispering into each other's ears and would start giggling to each other. Every time I'd ask her what's funny, she'd just casually shrug and shoo me away saying it's a secret. She'd whisper talk to him in the other room which she never used to do. And she's been visiting his cafe very frequently because Dave owns and runs a cafe. The 4 of us go on double dates from time to time and there's also the same situation. They just talk to themselves in signs, smile knowingly and then start acting normal when they see me and Tessa watching them. I knew for sure that it bugged Tessa too. Also, me and my wife used to have a very healthy love life which decreased from several times a week to once/twice a week. All these weird things and her staying away from me and keeping secrets really strengthened my suspicions. Last week my department had to go on a business trip for 5 days. It was pretty far away from our city and I had informed my wife about this 3 days prior. She seemed upset at first but later after a quick visit to Dave's cafe, she returned back home with a smile. And that upset me more. Also that night, I overheard her and Dave talking and planning to go somewhere together. She was surprised to see me there and cut the call abruptly and I acted like I didn't hear a single thing even though I was absolutely fuming and plotting inside. I went on the trip as casually as I could with Tessa and 2 other colleagues. Our company had provided us with separate rooms with room service. My mind was filled with revenge plans and I decided that if she, my wife, was enjoying herself then why couldn't I a little? The city we went to is famous for its nightlife so my plan was to complete my work for the day and go out and most possibly bring a girl to our room and you all know what would be next. So I completed my work, changed into casuals, checked out and went to the bar. I could see some girl eyeing me in my peripheral vision and I took it to be my to-go moment. As I was about to approach my would-be AP, I was distracted by a bunch of frantic calls from one of my colleagues about how I didn't submit the project in time and how my boss had been fuming at me. I attempted to call in my other colleague and even Tessa but they didn't even budge. My plan fell short and I had to go back to the room. Luckily the hotel I was staying at was just 10 minutes away from the bar and I intended to return to the bar as soon as I was done with all my work. While walking I was devastated about how I couldn't get to extract my plan and finally get my revenge. The moment I opened the door to my room, there was my wife in all smiles who then yelled a big surprise. Before I had a chance to know WTF was happening, she shoved something in front of my face and I just got to recognize the 2 red lines and the switches just clicked. I don't know what happened next but all I could remember is both of us and kissing and crying tears of joy. My wife was finally pregnant. Like my wife is really actually pregnant. I forgot all about my suspicions and all about my plans and that chick I met in the bar. I hugged my wife as long as I could and kissed her belly several times. That night we had an amazing session and my wife was back in my arms. The next morning, Dave and Tessa congratulated me and informed me that they were now engaged and we went on a double date. Later my wife had apologized to me for ignoring me and keeping secrets and how they were just planning to surprise me with the news and Tessa with the marriage proposal. Also, she personally apologized for resuscitating my advances as she was insecure about her body and scared of hurting the baby. She's a scaredy cat. I felt like a gallon of ice-cold water being thrown on my face and never in my life have I been as ashamed as much as I'm now for even doubting this woman. We spent the next week enjoying ourselves to the fullest and visiting many places across the world, and shopping for baby clothes. We couldn't resist to be honest. We're now back to our normal lives. Whilst I'm the happiest with my wife's pregnancy I'm still ashamed about my thoughts. God knows what would have happened and where I would be now if my wife had caught me with some random chick that night. I want to tell my wife everything but on the other hand I'm scared of her reaction and the possible effects on our baby. She's now almost 3 months. I love this woman and I want to spend my life with her, taking care of her till the end. So y'all please tell me if it'll be a good thing to just lay myself bare to her or hold my tongue as long as I can.
My wife told me someone else is her soulmate. My wife, Emily, met her best friend Chuck, in high school. They became close friends, and Chuck came out to Emily as gay. Emily was supportive. A year or so later, Chuck came out to his parents. They disowned him and kicked him out, and Chuck ended up living with Emily and her parents for the rest of high school. Emily and I started dating after college, and she told me all about Chuck and how close they were and how he was like a brother. I met Chuck, and we got along and became friends. Chuck is a good guy. At the time, Chuck was dating a guy, and they ended up moving in together about the same time that Emily and I got engaged. Emily and I have been married for 5 years now. I'm a project manager and took on a year-long project in another city. I have to leave at 5:30 a.m. every morning and get home around 6:30 p.m. Emily and I had a long talk about my job before I took on this project. We knew it would be a sacrifice for me to be working so much, but I'm getting more money than I ever thought I would. After this project, we can pay off our student debt and start trying to have a baby. We both agreed the money was worth it since it's only a year. That year will be up in late November. In March, Chuck caught his boyfriend cheating. He was devastated. Emily immediately told him he could move in with us. I was fine with him moving in but not happy that Emily didn't even discuss it with me first. Chuck was pretty broken up, and Emily was giving him lots of love and attention. I was fine with it because I know how much she loves Chuck, and he did need her. I also did my best to support him and make him feel loved. For a while, this was fine, but as time went on, Emily has continued to pour all of her attention into Chuck. Sometimes I get home from work, and neither of them is there, and I found out they went to a movie or out to dinner together. I don't think there is anything romantic or intimate between them, but it has been annoying that I get left out of all the plans. The past few weeks, several things have happened. The three of us went to a party, and someone joked about Chuck being our third wheel, and Emily said, "Chuck is not the third wheel." I said, "What?" And she said, "I've known Chuck longer than I've known you." A week or so after that, Emily and Chuck went out dancing one night. I had to work the next day, so I stayed home. I woke up at about 3 a.m., and Emily was not in bed. I went and found her and Chuck cuddled up on the couch asleep with the TV on. Both of those things made me uncomfortable. I also realized I had been working so much I was just sort of letting Emily and Chuck plan everything, and I had not planned a date night in a while. I decided I needed to be more active, so I planned a date night for last Friday. When I first told Emily, she was excited, as we had not been on a date, just the two of us, in a while. Friday, I got home at 6:30, and Emily and Chuck were not there. I took a shower and got ready. About 7:15, I finally called Emily, as we had reservations at 8. She answered, and when I asked where she was, she said she and Chuck had gone shopping and were getting some dinner. I was kind of stunned and asked about our date. She laughed and said, "Oh, I forgot." Oh well. And that was that. She didn't even invite me to join them. So, a point I should make here, my dad was very controlling of my mom and had an anger problem where he would yell and throw things. He never threw things at us, but it was still scary as a kid. I have worked very hard to not be like him. I've tried to never be controlling of Emily or tell her what to do. I also tend to shut down when I get angry. When Emily forgot our date, I was mad, so I didn't say anything right then, but I knew I needed to address how I was feeling. So later that evening, I told her we needed to talk. I had written down some things so I could stay focused. I started by saying that I loved Chuck, and he was always welcome in our home, but that I felt like our marriage was suffering and we needed to work on us. Emily blew up. She thought I was attacking Chuck. I guess I didn't word things well, and she started defending him and attacking me. We have never had a big fight before, we always talk and work things out. I was stunned that she was attacking me. She said some awful things. Then she said, "Chuck is my soulmate, and you just have to get used to that." I just shut down. I didn't even know how to process that. I love Emily more than anything in the world, but in that moment, I realized she loves Chuck more than she loves me. I thought Emily and I were soulmates, but to hear her say she considers someone else her soulmate has been devastating. I don't remember the rest of the talk. She huffed off after a while and slept on the couch. She and Chuck left together on Saturday and were gone most of the day. When they got back, she acted like nothing had happened. On Sunday, she even made a small joke and batted her eyes at me, something she does when she's flirting with me. Normally I love it, but this time it just made me sick. I told her this was a busy week at work, and I was just going to stay at a hotel near the job site, something I've done a few times before, so I haven't seen her since Sunday night. I don't know what to do. Typing all of this up has made me realize I am really burned out with all of this travel. Maybe I checked out too much and haven't given her enough attention. But how do I move forward knowing she will never love me as much as I love her?
My wife keeps throwing divorce in my face over everything. I just agreed and left. I'm currently staying with my sister. My wife, 32F, and I have been together for 5 years, married for 4. We had known each other for years prior. We have one kid together who is 4. I, 28M, am the primary breadwinner in the house as she is a stay-at-home mom. It was her choice not to go back to work. For the last year and a half, we have been having arguments about 2 times a month. To be clear, I do help out with our daughter. I clean, cook, and am involved with both of them. The first time she said she wanted a divorce was when we got into an argument when my sister called and asked if she could stay with us for a bit as she was having relationship problems. Ironic. I said she could. My wife was not happy about that. I pointed out that her friend stayed with us a couple of months prior for 5 weeks and didn't do anything around the house. Plus, she was just there. No discussion, no nothing. She was a stranger to me and my daughter. My sister is lovely and has a great relationship with our daughter, and I thought my wife did as well. She ended up staying with us for a week, helping out around the house, cooking, cleaning, and watching out daughter when needed. I thought we both forgave each other and moved on. The fights are usually over, something small, 90%, are not started by me. I have suggested therapy and counseling, but she always said we never needed it. Well, I had it last night. She picked a fight saying I was spending too much time at work, and that she feels abandoned, and that I'm not a good father, ended her rant with, "I want a divorce." I stood up and told her that the only reason I work so much is because she can't stop spending our money. Typing it out, it came out as my money on accident. We agreed to split the money into bills, future savings, future daughter, and fund money on things we don't need or use. She refused to get a job or go to school to help her out. I provide for the family, for my daughter. I'm always at my wife's important dates, functions, doctor's appointments, anything she needs. But she has refused to get help through therapy or counseling. I don't want this anymore. I'll have my lawyer send her the papers when she writes it up. I got my daughter's things and left with her to my sister's. It has been 2 days and she keeps calling and texting saying she is sorry. She didn't mean it. She wants to go to counseling and therapy. She needs me. She misses me, etc. I don't know what to do. I love her. She is a good mother, but I can't do this anymore. Internet strangers, please help. Yes, I have a lawyer for my family and work. I have known her since I was a teen. Update. Unfortunately, this is not a sunshine and rainbows update. To clarify some questions I've gotten, I'll refer to one of my comments on my original post. I want to point out some things that it seems was missed or looked over. I would do everything again if I had to, including taking my daughter. I have pushed my wife to go out, find a job, get a hobby, meet new friends, and do something, anything. Asked about seeing someone for help. She would not listen or consider anything I have presented. She kept saying no, or that she was not the problem. My daughter is my priority. I don't fight with my wife in front of her or around her. I grew up in a bad household. I have been in the position where my dad got angry at my mom. My mom left, and my dad took it out on me. I don't ever want that for her. I don't know what my wife was going to do that night. You can't force someone to get help. They have to want it. Actually want it. If you force someone, they will go through the motions just to make it look like they changed. I'm not blameless in this, but I can't raise my daughter with her thinking this is okay behavior, or his is how relationships are supposed to be like. I decided when I was young that I would never be like my dad. Okay, so after I made my post, I had a bunch to think about. I decided that I had to make sure she knew how serious I was. We sat down, and I flat out told her that I couldn't do this anymore. The fighting and threatening of divorce has to stop. She agreed and said she would not say it. I told her that the next time it was thrown out, it would be the last time. We agreed to go to couples therapy. It was eye-opening. Things were said, feelings were brought up, and outside professional views helped us understand the other better. After a few sessions, I thought we were doing better. She started to apply herself more. She looked and obtained a job, made some friends, and got a hobby. That was until an argument started because we had plans in regards to our daughter that she overlooked and couldn't cancel the other plans she had made with some new co-workers. At what I considered the end of the argument, she said under her breath, "I knew marrying you was a mistake." I looked at her, and the thing I remember most is how I did not recognize the woman that was standing there. She looked different to my eyes. I didn't know who the woman was in front of me was. I asked her to repeat herself. She said, "I should have divorced you years ago." I walked away and took my daughter to the plans alone, just us two. I ended up filling for legal separation. Under the terms we both signed was something along the lines of, while separated, we are still legally married and will not get involved with anyone during this time period. Finances will be separated, but bills will stay as currently split. I would still pay for insurance through work. Other things that were in it were therapy sessions would continue both as individuals and couples. I would move in with my sister, and we had shared custody of our daughter, 70. Me, 30, her. One day when I had my daughter, I needed my wife to take her. I let her know a week before, and she agreed. The morning of at 7:30, I went to drop her off at the house and noticed an unfamiliar car in the driveway. My first thought was, she must have a girlfriend over. I go ring the doorbell, out of respect, but still odd ringing your own doorbell, and wait with my daughter when a shirtless man who is about 20 opens the door and asks, "Who am I, and what do I want?" I ask for my wife, he calls her, and she comes around the corner in a robe, and her face goes from curious to shocked, to horrified, to sad. Needless to say, in 3 months' time, when the legal separation ends, I'm filing for a decree of dissolution of marriage. My daughter is safe. She doesn't understand what's going on other than daddy and mommy are not happy with each other. As stated above, she is my priority. I guess I did do the one thing I never wanted to do. The one thing I promised myself I would never become. But I guess it could be helped. I end up just like my parents. I don't know what a healthy relationship looks like. I hope I can just show how much love I have for my daughter and raise her the best I can.